Scars remind me I'm healed. Thank you, Father, I'm healed. I've been through so much trouble, and trouble would sometimes find me. Scars and bruises, yes, I'm covered. I'm covered. But through it all, you were standing there, fighting for me. And even though I fall, you still pick me up. With my scars, you love me. With my scars, you love me. These scars of mine, Lord, they remind me, yeah, they remind me that all the time you were right there with me. Yeah, you were fighting for me. These scars of mine, Lord, they remind me. Yeah, they remind me that all the time you were right there, you were right there, you were right there. The scars remind me I'm healed. Thank you, Father, I'm healed. I am healed. Scars remind me I'm healed. Ooh, thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Well, 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 well. Shine. Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well. Well, 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 well. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. These scars of mine, Lord, they remind me, yeah, they remind me that all the time you were right there with me, you were fighting for me. Scars remind me I'm healed.
Every time I asked my mom about my dad, she would say that he's abroad. And that was it. She never really went into an explanation. Up until about 5 years ago, I strongly believed that I was unlovable. At the age of 16 years old, I met a guy who I believed would protect me. He was in a gang. He was what we would call a bad boy. I felt a sense of security and I started trusting him. However, that violence turned on me. And that was the first time I would have experienced physical abuse.
You know, it's 1 in every 3 are affected by domestic violence.
And well, sexual abuse that took place every day. I didn't have a say when it came to that. It was whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted it.
If my father had stayed up to this age that I am right now, if he had stayed and the abuse had continued, I believe that I will not be sitting here today talking to you. I might be behind the bars because I was really planning to go and do my father something just to stop the abuse of my mother.
Abuse is a cycle. So if you don't make a choice to leave, then know that you are growing sons who will be abusers.
I feared most of all that my older son would be a perpetrator. It was one of the hardest things to look at my son and think that he was going to turn out to be the thing I didn't want him to be most of all, the thing I tried to save him from. I decided that I had to get out of the relationship, if not for myself, for my kids.
If you are a victim and you're sitting here, I want you to know that you're not alone. I want you to know that you have support. And I want you to know that there is a way out.
Hi.
Hello.
This is Kamika.
Who the hell is Kamika?
Well, I am your daughter from Trinidad, and I just really wanted to call you and wish you Happy Father's Day.
I don't know you. I don't know who you're talking about. Please. Tell me things that I want to know.
Yes. And we're here for another conversations, another Thursday evening. I was looking for a scripture. You check my t-shirt, pray about it, because my guests and I were talking a little earlier about the fact that toilet paper is running out, hand sanitizers. People are fighting for toilet paper, and so we were saying it's not funny, but it's odd. And there's a scripture that I was looking for that says that the Lord's people will not fear in the day of trouble. Their hearts are fixed, fully trusting in Him. And you know, these are times that we've been warned about. So we are not hurrying and scurrying. Be wise, do what is recommended, but don't let. My friend Joanne also placed something on, I think it was Facebook, or she sent it to me on WhatsApp, talking about there was SARS, there was ISIS, there was, what else was it? Ebola, Zika, the millennium change was going to kill us all. Every 10 years, there was going to be something, or every year, to kill us. And she was saying, and which I agreed with, that fear would kill us first. Turn off your TV, fear is going to kill you first. So I'm encouraging us to be wise in our ways and to don't get carried away by the excitement. Who are the people going to turn to? If you can't pray for yourself good, you're more afraid than them. You know, so encouraging us not get caught in the frenzy. Yes, so that was just my preamble. Welcome to another edition of Conversations. Of course, last week we share the live. Make sure you share, because there are so many people who need to hear and know and see what we're discussing today. So I want to make sure that I've shared and that I'm on. Yes, I am. And got some guests today who, I just met this tiny girl last week. This sweet tiny girl last week. She came on air with me, and that was her in the video you just saw. And we're going to talk about that video. It's actually, I call it a docudrama, a documentary that was done about her life and her experiences surviving domestic violence. And her name is Kamika McClatchy with an E.
Good night, Trinidad Tobago. Thanks for having me, Joanne.
You're so welcome. Thanks for coming.
So I'm trying to share it with you.
Turn the volume down on your device, and you could do anything and it won't come through. Thank you for coming, Kamika. And the person who introduced me to my darling new friend, Kamika, is the lady to your far, what is that, right? And my far left, Avenel Hector.
Is directionally challenged. That explains everything.
Avenel Hector. No, to the people who are watching, you're on the right, and to me, you're on the left. Avenel Hector Joseph, of course, you know her from ITNAC. Welcome, Abinel.
Thank you for having me, Joanne.
Welcome to Conversations. I was set. Do you like our set?
It's lovely.
Isn't it lovely?
I feel so at home.
Isn't it lovely? And of course, tonight we're looking at exit strategies when we think of domestic violence. We have a surprise for you coming up at the end of the program. A big surprise. But we want to get into our conversations about domestic violence and the exit strategies. Would you believe this little lady was a victim at one point in time of a whole lot? And we'll tell the story as we go on, with a couple children. A couple. Well, when they look at her herself, with a couple children and the challenges. That video that you just saw is her life story.
But you can tell them exactly how much is the couple, because some people might think literal couple is two.
Seven
children that she has. But let's get into the story. Tell us first of all, let's define domestic violence, because when I was looking at the full movie or the full documentary, I realized that you had actually experienced, I was ticking off way. Okay, so she got physical, emotional. Tell us your definition, or the definition of domestic violence.
Well, to put it simply, I like to say, firstly, domestic violence is hinged on power and control, and it's any form of abuse or manipulative tactic used to control another party.
And some of the areas that it shows up itself would be physical.
Well, under the domestic violence, that's like an umbrella, and you have different abuses underneath there. So there's physical abuse, sexual abuse, there is verbal abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse. Then you have spiritual abuse, financial abuse, and medical abuse.
Wow.
And the verbal, emotional, and psychological, they are all tied up together in one.
The verbal, emotional, and psychological.
Yes.
In what way? How would you?
Well, all of them work on mostly the person's self-esteem. So what the verbal persons tell you a lot of degrading things about yourself, bring down your self-worth, and that plays on your emotions. So it's tied up with the emotional abuse, and it also affects you psychologically. So I like to say three of them are tied up together, but with the psychological abuse specifically, there is something we refer to as gaslighting. And gaslighting is when one person causes you to doubt your own sanity to the extent that you actually think you're seeing things or you're hearing things, because they tell you the way you see it happen is not how it happened. Yeah.
I remember Mom used to have a joke and we used to laugh. Mom used to say that I think a woman saw her husband down the road, or somebody saw a man. And when they approached him, I said, I saw you down the road. He said, you see me? You see me? You call me? You touch me? Man look like man, man walk like man talk like man, and man don't have to be man, or some such excuse. That is gaslighting.
Yeah.
How are you sure it was me?
Exactly.
People resemble people all the time. What you was doing out the road in the first place to see me, and then it switched around.
Exactly, the tables are turned, and then that other person is the victim. Wow. They make you the victim.
Yeah.
In fact, they make you the perpetrator and make themselves the victim.
And you start feeling sorry for being so doubting and so...
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gaslighting. I learned a new thing there. Now tell us a little bit about your story. We saw part of it in the video there. Tell us a little bit about how you got, I was going to say yourself, but to say you get yourself, how did you get caught up in being an abuse victim?
Well, firstly, I always say that we are the sum total of our experiences, and that makes a difference in why one woman would stay and one would not, because some women, from the first lash, they would leave immediately. Some would take it, right? So I would go back all the way into my childhood. I grew up without my dad and always wanting that father figure in my life, that protective figure in my life. That was a void for me. And at the age of 14, I was raped by an acquaintance, right? And I trusted someone, a friend. I told him that I got raped, and his response to that was to rape me as well. So within 3 days, I was raped twice at the age of 14. And that impacted my life, because, you know, that would have lowered my self-worth and lowered my self-esteem, and brought up questions about why men always treat me like this, why did my father leave, and things like that. And right then and there, at the age of 14, I decided to get back at men. But at the age of 14, I wouldn't have any wisdom or any knowledge. So I thought the only way to get back at men was to use my body.
Because they hurt your body.
Exactly. And I became very promiscuous, started sleeping around and stuff, and I did anything it took to hurt a man. At the age of 16, I met someone who was a lot older than me. He was a gang leader. And I believed that he would protect me. He was the father figure I was looking for. Of course, that aggression was turned on me eventually. And that was the first taste of physical abuse. I eventually got out of that relationship. But you know, when you have a wound that is not healed, you continue to look for love in the wrong places. So I continued to look for that father figure. And eventually met the person I got married to. And I always, yes, Mr. Prince.
That's how you described it.
Yes, because most abusers, they are Mr. or Mrs. Prince Charming when you first meet them. So to me, he was Mr. Prince Charming, everything I was looking for. He was extra caring, made me laugh all the time, very attentive and things like that. And when we go on to talk, those are red flags we need to look at. Sometimes we are not sure and we think that is the way that person is expressing their love, but that can actually be a red flag for what is to come.
Yes.
Right? And not having that knowledge at the time about domestic violence, I felt, well, okay, he checked off on the list everything that I needed, and we got into a relationship. So we courted for 6 years, and during that 6 years, verbal abuse was present, emotional, psychological abuse was present. Of course, I didn't understand it, so I always believed that I was the cause. If I did this better, if I didn't answer him, things would be better. And I became a Christian at that point in time. So, you know, I felt, well, okay, if we do the right thing and get married, now everything is going to be perfect. It's going to be like a bed of roses. So we got married, and the marriage lasted for 14 years. So that's 20 years in all, right? And it was after the marriage that the physical and sexual abuse stepped in. As a matter of fact, on the wedding night, there was a taste of physical abuse, right? So, you know, it was very difficult for me.
So it was like a sudden switch, or did you?
I think it was gradual. It was leading up.
There was no physical before.
No, because what would happen during the courtship, if we had an argument, then I would have stuff. He would destroy personal belongings I had. I remember him ripping up one of my favorite shirts, cutting them up and stuff. I remember him killing my pet hamsters, right? Kicking my dogs. So those are signs, those are red flags, as I was saying before, but I just didn't understand it at that time. And even on the wedding night, when we were cutting the cake, I remember when I fed him the cake, he is taller than me, everybody is taller than me. So, you know, trying to put the fork into his mouth, I think I put it too far and it stuck him. And I would never forget the way he pulled back and looked at me. It was almost as if he was going to lash me. But then, like,
there's a famous Facebook video like that.
With the
exactly
with the wedding.
And the guy hit the girl some
exactly
good slaps.
When I saw that,
but I don't like that too. The Americans have a way of smooshing the cake.
No, smooshing is different. That's a joke. But that guy literally
slapped
the girl, and people explained it on
she did it to him. That's the one I saw. She pushed the cake
and
rubbed it a little.
No, there's one where she was there's one where the girl was and again, our society is desensitive because there were actually women defending and saying like she provoked him, she shouldn't have done, you know, not
exactly.
Why was he hitting her for something like that?
Why would it be such a violence?
And if you can be so violent in the open, you know what's going to happen behind
closed doors. And that's, I'm glad you brought that up because it actually reminded me. But for me, I actually, now that I look back, it was almost as if he wanted to hit me, but he thought twice, and he just, the look he gave me.
In his eyes.
Yes, I never forgot that, because actually that look and those cues, my chair is just turning. Actually, that look, we call them cues in domestic violence. So every victim knows her perpetrator's cues. You know what is going to happen next because they give you cues. And those cues, the outside person would not know them, but you inside that relationship would know the cues, right?
It reminds me of another movie
that
I saw.
Exactly.
There was a movie that I saw it was a Tyler Perry movie. Like,
Diary of a Mad Black
No,
Woman.
it was
it's another
the
one.
family reunion. It was with Blair Underwood, and while her friends were there, they were all laughing and they were chatting, and she was thanking them for coming for the party. And as she turned around and locked the door, he knocked her out. He said, "You embarrassed me."
Wow.
But when they were going, they were asking, "Is it okay? Should we go?" Because everybody was sensing. Because when he came in and saw the party going, I think they had a dancer. When he came in and saw the party going around, you know, his first look was, and then when he saw the girls say, "Hi, how are you going?" he turned. But as soon as they left, he was very charming again.
Yeah.
So I guess people outside, but you know, my dear dad, I don't like too much alcohol, but my dad dealt with him with a gun and a whatever. But exactly what you're talking about, there's an aura, there's a sense that you know in the eyes that something is going to happen. You have to know the person.
Exactly. So cue you knew. And just the way he looked at me that night, that was actually the cue I would get later on if he's going to hit me. So, you know, going through the marriage, it was difficult. I could recall a lot of events. I remember one time being turned upside down in the washing machine. I remember being dragged around my home by my hair. There was another time I was being choked and I had to actually hit him with my shoe heel for him to let me go. I had to jump over the wall to get away. So there was a lot of abuse. There was sexual abuse as well, not really having a say in anything when it came to sex. So those things were difficult for me, and during the marriage, I became very suicidal. And there was a point in time where not just being suicidal, but I also thought of taking my children's lives because I felt that I couldn't go and leave them and I needed to set us free. And, you know, every time I tell this story, it's something I like to bring up about religions and churches and even traditions. We need to be careful of what we tell our women, or even, I wouldn't say women, but victims, because we know that men can be victims as well, about not leaving and going back. And, you know, like I was told that God does not approve of divorce, right?
But God does not approve
of abuse. Exactly. So at that point, being told that over and over, I felt trapped, like there was no way out. So then the only way out is that, right? And then, you know, I reached the point where I said, okay, I can't take my life because God doesn't approve of that as well. So then I started to pray and ask God to take my life. I literally asked God, let me walk on the road, let something knock me down, and let me die, because I felt like I was losing everything about myself. So it was just like an empty shell walking around.
Hey, we've got Kamika McClatchy on with us, and of course, what's the documentary called?
Breaking the Cycle.
Breaking the Cycle. We saw it this weekend gone, and we're working. I'm working with Avenel to get that done in San Fernando soon, so you'll hear a lot more. But was there anybody that you could have talked to? Why didn't you feel there was somebody that you could talk to?
Okay, so I had two very good friends, and I spoke to them about it. But when I look back now, many times I wouldn't tell them about the physical abuse. I would just tell them maybe about the verbal, the emotional. I would tell them what he did, but we never identified it as abuse. And the physical, I would always hide that. I would never tell them about that. One of the reasons is because I did not want to feel like a failure. I felt like I was to blame for choosing this. I was to blame for being in this, and seeing no marriage succeeding in my family. Yes. I didn't want to feel like a failure. And then there was a shame factor. I felt ashamed to say that, you know, this man is hitting me and stuff like that. Or even the sexual abuse, that was very shameful to tell people about it. However, as it got worse coming down to the end, I started telling persons at church what was happening. Yes. But of course, they advised counseling and talking it through, praying, walking by faith and not by sight, some of the things I was told. And, you know, so those are the reasons. The neighbors, if you want to go to the community, they knew what was happening. They would hear the noises, because sometimes fights would take place 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, so they would hear. They would peep out, but next day, no one would say anything. Everybody act like it didn't happen.
Why do you think, what is it in our society that, because, you know, there's the whole thing of the observer approach, there's the whole thing of the hands-off approach.
Okay, I'm hands-on. Okay, I'm hands-on. Okay, I have actually physically gotten involved in two situations in the last 6 months in my neighborhood. One, I tried to break down the door until the guy came out and opened the door, because, I mean, I lost it. I went ballistic. That's not the right approach. But in the moment, that's what I felt I needed to do. So I took a hammer and shovel. I was hitting the door. And I told him some strong words. If you don't come out, I'm going to the door down. So he realized I was serious. And there was another time I was in my room, because we live in a gated community, and I was hearing this noise. That was after the first situation. So I decided I would be a little bit more controlled in my response, no harsh words. And then I went out, and the guy was actually, he had a piece of wood, and he's an ex-soldier, because he got kicked out the military, and he was telling the girl, listen, I don't have a problem killing you and sit down in jail. And I know that guys don't just say, they mean that. And so his mother was holding back the girl for what reason, and not holding back the son. So another neighbor and I, we got involved. So I'm very hands-on in that regard. And there are friends that I have that my husband and I, we've actually offered them to come to our home to give them a safe place. So there's different people they want to counsel and pray. And I'm a woman of God, a woman of faith. I have seen God done the miraculous things, but haven't done all to stand after we've prayed and stuff. And there's some people, they're not willing to change. As we spoke on the radio, they will have remorse, they will have regret, but you will see no repentance. You're seeing no change behavior. And Scripture is clear to bring forth fruit for repentance. And if I am not seeing that, and one of the things that I've seen with Christian women is that we are, well, I say we, not me, but generally Christian women in these situations, they seem to feel as if they have this responsibility to protect the man and the image. I remember one person saying to me that she couldn't go public because she needed to protect her husband's ministry. And my response to her, well, no, it's not your responsibility to protect his ministry. If he's concerned about his ministry, he needs to go and follow the biblical principles. Husbands, love your wife and do the right thing.
Your body, would you?
Right, with Christ, you know.
Exactly.
So she stayed in abuse, and I think I was probably the first and the only person she has ever spoken to that she was able to articulate. And I was very clear, get out, make an escape, we're going to map out a plan for you, vamos amigos. But, she had an example of some other woman who stayed and got turned wrong after 40 years. I'm sorry, I'm not chancing that you're going to, when you have demonstrated how you are, you're going to kill my little sorry skin, and then what? So Christian women tend to have that passivity, and then again, the church in a lot of instances, I remember many years, probably 25 years ago, now being on radio, and a pastor's wife called me in and she said to me that she went to the church in that same situation, explained to them that she was a victim of abuse, and they told her they needed to submit. So, because we don't understand what is submission, we give people wrong advice. We guilt people into staying, tell them divorce. Yes, God hates divorce, but God also hates abuse, and God also hates people not loving their wives as their own selves and all of those other things. So, while we are playing the mini mini more pick a scripture out the box kind of joke with people's lives. So, I think as the church, we need to be more scriptural, and in being more scriptural, we'll have a more practical approach where we will listen, we will be more confidential, and we'll be more practical, because the statistics are all around. So if they say they know that when they say they're going to kill them, they're going to do it, you now know.
I remember that happening in church. I was working in the office, and a woman came in, very well dressed. When she asked to see me, we sat together, and she said, my husband just said, he kissed, when people do this, he kissed the cross. And he said, today, before the end of the day, your blood will shed. So the only thing she could think of doing was find herself to a church. And I called a policeman, a friend of mine, and I told him what happened. And he said, if somebody says that, they have plans to do it. Once somebody verbalizes that they're going to do something, most of the time, they're going to do it. So keep her there till I come.
Can you imagine somebody saying, pray?
Yeah. But the thing
bless
about
you and send anyway.
I was asking you about the general response, how Kamika is talking about people knowing and hearing and pretending it doesn't exist. I can't understand the not wanting to get involved. I could understand sometimes out of fear.
Okay, that's the same thing we say, Joe. Husband, don't get involved in husband and wife business. All those stupid things you go up hearing.
I was looking at a situation recently with a man and his family and the woman, and they kept saying that the woman never came for her children. But the thing is, the man's sister and mother were going to the police. They weren't even confronting him. They were going to the police station because somebody said, okay, you want the wife to come and get her children, but you living right next door, and you afraid him too because you're not going in. So I think part of it could be fear. But I think other parts of it is a whole thing of not getting involved. Because longer you go to the police station and they would say, well, sort that out as a family.
Yeah.
We don't get involved in family business and things.
And they
like
say
that.
man and woman business.
That
They're
is
not
it.
getting involved in man and woman business.
So long. But I think now with the laws changing, it's a matter of they have to take the report, and there are certain things they have to do and they have to respond.
But there are lots of instances where it's still not happening up to the very, very recent past, and that's very sad. And so there's some things that we really need to pray about, because beyond paper legislation, there's a whole mental construct. Because in a lot of instances, people have said to me that they didn't intervene. It wasn't because they were afraid. Because they say, it has been my business. Next thing you know, they're saying like a man tell me.
And they make up
and they turn on you.
Exactly.
No, but my point is, if it were
and of course, it's stupid statement. Yes. And some women like it. Have you had a conversation with that woman to determine that?
The thing is that if it were your sister or your somebody
mother,
close, you would jump in.
Exactly.
So I think it is really a laissez-faire approach, a lack of interest. You understand? But you were saying too that one of the main reasons you did the documentary, or it really got you. You heard people making comments like that some people like it so.
Yeah, but you know, every time there was a fatality from domestic violence, you would hear people saying, well, she like it, she like the legs, it's good for her, and things like that. So, you know, I felt like people didn't understand. They never walked in those shoes, so they cannot understand. And I felt like I would give those people who didn't have a voice.
Yes.
And I would let people know what it means to really walk in these shoes. Because it's not as simple as, you know, some people say, so why you don't just leave? It's not as simple as just getting up and leaving. It's a process. Conditioning has taken place over years. So it's not easy for victims to just, no.
And then the after, like this particular person that we are assisting right now and joining it, we've helped her with her rent. We got somebody to pay for 3 months nursery, and then looking at diapers. The child have special needs. She's lactose intolerant. Because of the whole financial issues, and then sometimes, Kamika can speak to this more, the abusers sometimes alienate the people from their family. So now I have to go back to the family and the friends and everybody that I stopped talking to, not because I wanted to, because he cut me off, and most times the woman wouldn't say to their family, I am not speaking to you because my husband or man or whoever say I can't talk to you. So now the family has this perception that everything is good with him. She feels she reached with the man alone. Then all of a sudden I am thrust out on my own. What am I going to do? How am I going to survive? And sometimes a lot of women go back in situation, not because they love the man, but it's about survival. They have these hungry children to feed. And so these are some of the things that we need to look at as a church. How can we support people? And as you're talking exit strategy, that we each begin to look around at practical ways that we can help people coming out so they don't feel alone in the middle of nowhere and say, look, the best thing to do is just to go back. Yes.
And the thing too, I know that when we spoke before, Kamika, you were saying that after things would happen in the night, you're walking in the street the next day, and people asking how you're going, and you're telling me you're good.
I have to hold my head up, and you know, they'll be like, how you going? I'm okay. What would I say again? And I have to try to look normal.
That is one of the things that I always speak to. The fact that, and I remember there was a time in my life when I was kind of aggressive about it. I've learned to the grace of God has softened some of the edges, right, Avi? Yeah.
I'm working on my 50. I'll be 50 next year, but then I'll have it done.
50, so he worked on it then. But I would ask, people would ask me, how are you going? And after having observed it for years, when they reach there, I'd say, well, if you would stop, I'd be able to tell you. I know they turn back in shock like, what did you just say? I said, well, you asked how I'm going, but you didn't give me enough time.
If you talk as fast as me, by the time you ask me, I said I would say, oh God, you just give too much time. You do not ask, I've not to do how she's going, you know what, so to me, so I had 3 friends die in the last couple of days, and blah, blah, blah. You can hear my story. You should just leave me
generally, people just, they fit in the role of, they know how to play the game, how you're going blessed and highly favored. I tell people, when you say, and I know Pastor Raj can help me here, but when you say, when I ask you how you're going, and I would tell them, They say, I'm good, I'm blessed. I say, I know you are. But your eyes shut down with cold. You're coughing all over me. Do you have the flu? You understand? I could pray for the flu if I know you have the flu.
I'm too blessed to be stressed, too anointed to be disappointed.
We have this jargon and these jokes, but I'm saying in the case of domestic violence, we have to let people be comfortable with having the conversation open. We have to have the conversations. We are too comfortable with just saying, I'm good. Yes, you are. It is well. But right now, you are not well.
Exactly.
You need some help. Ask for it. You're going to say, Javier, so your mouth open. But
my husband is home, so.
Yes, and you know I will, sure.
But I will just say this, though, because I want to see it. If we continue to set up church buildings and systems that do not allow for true koinonia and fellowship, where we sit and we see the back of each other's head and people speak down to us, we will continue to have no true koinonia, no true New Testament experience where we do not share things and have things in common. So if we want change, there's a lot of things that we have to change to see change, but because we're comfortable what is. You know, you see, God have an order. If we go back how it was in the New Testament, they had all things in common. They shared life. And when people begin to share their lives, you see, the people who I share my life with, they don't really have to tell me when they're not good enough. Because I'm not just walking in the building and looking at their head. I'm facing. There's a situation in the Bible where a man had sex with a woman and next morning you realize it was a different man because they didn't face each other. They just had sex. And a lot of Sunday mornings we just have sex. We don't have true intimacy with each other where we get to really koinonia, intimacy, and we see each other so that when I see Kamika, because I know Kamika, every time she come, I say, Mix girl, something wrong today.
Yes, before we take this call, I want to say that it is our responsibility. Nobody in leadership ever tell me to be kind. Nobody in leadership ever tell me to ask you how you're going. Nobody in leadership ever tell me that when I'm going to the grocery, and I know this woman is a widow with 3 children, and there are people who know me. One for me, one for you, one for me, one. And when I carry them in shock, nobody has the Bible.
There are 2 things too, yes, but there are 2 things. There are 2 things. There's personal responsibility and how we have that's what Bible has to do. To teach people, that's what the Bible says.
So there's 2 things. It's in your heart. It's a natural thing.
Hello, good evening.
It's natural, you're supposed to be.
Hello.
Hi, how are you guys? It's Micah calling.
Hi, Micah, darling. How are you? This is a lovely lady I met. Her name is Micah Dell. We met just this week, and she's an expert and a counselor. So, Micah, what would you like to add at this time, darling? Turn the volume down on your whatever your device, on your laptop or whatever. Okay, darling. Thanks for calling in.
Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, now we're good. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, guys. I just wanted to say, I've been listening to the conversation. I've been really enjoying the conversation. I also wanted to say I decided to call in when you guys started about really talking and having the conversation. So I said it would be a perfect time for me to call in because I love that point about having the conversation and starting the conversation and how important it is for people to be talking about it.
Yes.
For everyone to have the conversation, for it to not be the elephant in the room anymore, but for everybody to start talking about domestic violence so that we can start acting towards it.
Yes.
So because when you think about our thoughts become our behaviors become our actions. So if we think about domestic violence, if we think about the things that can be done to support those individuals, those are the things that we will start doing, right? Our actions will then follow our thoughts and the things that we're talking about.
Yes.
So again, I wanted to kind of intervene when you guys said, starting to have the conversation and really, us talking about it and us starting the conversation. And I see that the conversation has been started in so many different forums. So I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that, last week I was at the event, the International Women's Day event where we were having the conversation. Tonight the conversation is being had. So I'm so happy to see that people are talking about it and we're, making segues with having that conversation.
I'm Michael, the vegan girl.
Micah, what's the next step though after conversation? Because we're good at talk, you know. We're good at talk. What is the next step after conversation like this?
I'm so glad that you said that. I think the next step after conversation is definitely intervention, right? I'm a big believer in, again, not just talking, but our actions following up on the things that we're talking about. You know, we talk about supporting the individuals who have lived through domestic violence. What does that support look like? At International Women's Day event, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, are you willing to have your home open? Well, how far are you willing to go to support somebody, friends or family living in a situation of domestic violence? I think also in terms of supporting, we need to look at the services. We need to look at the services being offered. We need to look at following up with therapy, with counseling, with groups, peer groups, things like that, so people are getting the interventions that they need to cope with some of the experiences they would have dealt with.
Yes, yes. And do you think our mindset towards things like this is changing? Because like we said before, I know that your parentage is Caribbean, but you grew up in Canada. And I know it's totally different there. Do you think our mindset is changing in terms of getting involved and intervening? What have you seen from what you've heard? Do you see any difference in our approach?
I see that the mindset is definitely changing. I see that, okay, what I see is the conversation being had. And that's definitely the start. I would love to see, you know, more funding going towards service provision. Because, you know, we can't provide services without the money backing it up. So I would love to see more funding going towards people providing services. I would love to also see men as allies.
Wow.
I think that's an important part of the conversation. I think that more men need to step up and hold their male counterparts accountable. I think that we need, as women, we need to see more allies from our men. We need to see the men speaking up. We need to see men having the conversation. We need to see men, again, acting as allies.
Yes. And one more thing, Micah, I was saying last week when we met, and I've said it over and over again, I think because a lot of men have not dealt with their own challenges that way, or their own testimonies along that line, they think that if they support or if they come out, I don't know if there's a male network or if there's a male pride that doesn't allow me to side. You understand? Because then I might have challenges that my friends will say, you can't tell me anything. You know, secrets will come out. I have seen this happen in the past. But how strong is that male network that somebody will want to come out of it and side with women against the brotherhood or whatever it's seen as? Is there a male code? I don't understand it.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a code. I definitely think that, you know, there's been a way of thinking for so long. I think, you know, culturally there's been a way of thinking for many years. But I think that it's time to come out of that. I think it's time for men to be brave, to come out of that kind of old and to kind of break the silence. Because that's what we need. Yes. We need that. We need that ally. We need that support from the males. So again, holding themselves accountable.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Micah, thank you so much. I know that I want you to probably call back in before we wrap up to give us probably some exit strategies. or to support what this young lady Kamika might be saying to us. I don't know if Avi, you had a question?
I want to say, in fairness to a lot of the guys that I know, there are two sides to the coin. There are the guys who culturally have this conversation. I've heard it so many times. Boy, you know the moment they're you have to put them in order, boy. So you have to give them a little slap and all this kind of thing. And I end up in a big fight with them because, like, how dare you speak about your wife as you would speak about your daughter? But there are quite a few guys that I know that make it plain that they're not going to have that. I mean, I salute the men at the gathering place where I fellowship. One of the guys got up and he told, Uncle Joe told the ladies, listen, if anybody inside of here is in a situation, please let us know. We will pay them a visit and we will lay hands on them. Right? And I think for me, I have seen that when people tend to think that if you have nobody to stamp here, they could behave a certain way. And so there are a lot of brothers, I know lots of people who have blazed a lot of guys' skin, a lot of people, their sisters or who are their mothers, didn't tell them anything because they knew how the men in their family would react. So that there are some men who probably try to understand, like if it's a little slap or thing, they think that's all in keeping the woman in check because the woman like to step out a line and you have to bring them in line. No, I can't imagine having a husband think like that because I must be always out of line, so he'd have plenty of opportunities to slap me based on that school of thought, you know. So there are two sides to the corner, and while I am sometimes a bit hard on them because some of the things that they don't do, I want to salute that there are a lot of brothers out there, you know, that guys who have beat up fellas in party. Like there was about a couple of Fridays ago, a guy was actually, that was before Carnival, dragging a woman in her nose clothes down Frederick Street, and I came across the street just after the police came, and I was like, God, you're God at timing, because all of, I would have blazed that bugger real bad. And other fellas said the same thing, you know. So there are fellas who, you know, there's some people say, why jump in? Next thing you jump in, they had that conversation, when you don't jump, same thing. And then they go and make up, or the two of them turn and beat you and whatever. But there are a lot of good men who would fight.
Thank you so much, Michael. Looking forward to hearing from you again.
No problem.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you for now, guys.
Yes, I really want to, there are quite a few people responding here. I ask and wait for a response, Somebody's correcting us on the LE. But we spoke about the spelling quite a few times.
They said that it's CH. I think it's misspelled.
Oh yes, it's spelled wrong. It has an S. You spelled it clashy. Yes, it's spelled wrong on the screen. Yeah, when it comes up, I saw it, but I didn't bother to say anything.
Yeah,
we apologize deeply, especially to you.
That's fine. Okay. That's fine. But you know, I just want to go back to the point Michael made. That's something I'm stressing on. I believe that men need to step up to the plate. You see, all the time, every discussion we have, it's women speaking against it. But if men start to call out other men on it, you know, if you see someone, if you see your brother or your friend doing something, you should step up, and if that's your boy, your brethren, say what you're doing. If men start to speak up against it and call out other men on it, I think it will make a difference than just to have female voices constantly speaking about it. Because now they want to draw the cards and say, well, it's a woman thing and feminist movement and all these things.
Spear did a really good thing, and if he could share it, was really good with flowers, and if he does this, then this, it was really thing.
I saw that.
Yeah. So there are some men, not enough, but there are some men that are speaking.
Need to
so
step up.
we're not saying that men are not speaking, but we would like to see more.
But generally, the majority, exactly, when submission is not answered, somebody put, we must exercise wisdom, submission to a worthy husband, not an abusive one. You know, so we really, the church sometimes does not want to deal with real issues. And you see, I know that Abby and I have a different understanding of the church, because Abby is saying her church deals with it, or the gathering that she attends, and the gathering that I attend might also deal with it. So I don't like to paint it with a broad brush. I also like to say I am the church. And if I am doing it, the church is doing it, you know. So I'm seeing comments here for and against. May God continue to bless you all. Somebody said, okay, I see my brother here. Hi, Dr. Hayden, Noel. So we want to start to look, because it's nearly 10 o'clock. We started about what time? 9? So we're going till about 10:30. So somebody... Let's continue the story and see where we go with how you got out of this situation. And then, you know, I want to get to the daddy part too, you know, because your life is so full, Kamika, it really is. And when I saw you, I saw just a frail little person. There's no doubt that you had to have the power of God in you to be, you know, to have gone through this and come out on the other side. And I sniffed at you and said, not even smelling like smoke.
I always say it's the strength of God. It's not even my strength, it's His strength. And
what was your lowest point in all of the abuse?
I had several low points, but I think the lowest for me was there was this time that my head was slammed through some louvers, and I was jump kicked to my chest. And in that same episode, my daughter had her head beaten into a chair handle, and I remember. So
the abuse was to the children also.
They also were abused, yes. And I remember sitting on the kitchen floor that day and just crying. And I said, Lord, I just want to get out. Could you set me free, please? And, you know, I called his mother, my mother-in-law at the time, and when she came, she started blaming everyone in the house. But she never spoke to him. She never pulled him up on his behavior.
What, blaming them by saying what? If you all didn't...
At the time I was doing classes, so I would go to, I was full-time, I was doing classes full-time, and I would come home about 3:30, 4. So she started telling my eldest daughter, if he would help out, this would not happen. And then, and the thing is, the children all had chores, they all helped out. And then she started asking me, so what you tell him, what it is you tell him to get him? And you know, she never confronted him, she never told him anything. And I think that was the lowest, because at that point in time I felt it's either I'm going to die or my children are going to die, and there is no way out of this. Because I at that time I had also called a shelter, because at that time I had made up my mind I wanted out. And when I called the shelter that day, they told me I could not come for long because I had male children.
Yes.
So even if I come within a few days, I would have to leave. And you know, now it was my mom's house. This is the crazy thing about it. Yeah. It's my mom's house, but I'm also thinking I have all of these children. I have no job. I've been isolated from some people. People probably think, as Avi was saying, because I'm with him now, I have stopped speaking to them. So I'm thinking now, where am I going to go and what am I going to do? Because I have nowhere to go. Where am I going with 7 children? Who's going to take me in? Whose house is big enough? You know, and then also I have to lean on these people to feed these children. I'm saying, Lord, what am I going to do? There's no way out. And I think that was one of the lowest times for me that day.
Did you, I want to hear about the children. Did you at any point in time say or doubt? Because a lot of the times people say you have 2 children and an abusive man.
So if...
Why 3 or 4?
And I'm glad you brought up that point, because I've been asked this. Now the thing is, some people tell me I should not allow people to ask me questions like that, right? But I allow people to ask anything. You know why? Because that's the only way we're going to understand.
And why I'm asking you is because just like you, I have heard it asked. Yes. I find it's unfair. People would ask that constantly. You know what I mean? Well, and they would say again, she looked for it. Everything to blame the woman.
Exactly.
You understand? So that's why I say that people need to get deep and understand. If they weren't there and didn't walk in the shoes of the person, they can't make these judgments trying to pacify the situation or pacify the man by making all these assumptions.
Exactly. The sexual abuse was extreme. I had no say. So within that marriage, I had abortions, right? Because I may have had more children, and
I have met people who said their husband said you can't use birth control.
Oh yeah.
And they would hide trying to use it.
No, I used birth control, but every time I use something, if I use that particular tablet, I would get sick. So I would have to switch. But the sexual abuse is so extreme that even in the switching, I would get pregnant. And I tried an abortion. That was devastating for me. It's something I took many years to get over. So I said to myself, I'm not going to do this again, right? So when the children came, knowing the promise I made to God, I was not going to abort any child again. And then there's the switching of the birth controls in between I get pregnant. So that was also really hard for me, Because every time I got pregnant, I would feel devastated and I would feel even more of a failure because now there's another child coming and this marriage isn't getting any better.
I'm really just trying to show the many facets of abuse and the heart of a mother. You understand? And I saw your son, whom I love, because we attended church together.
And you know,
speaking about, he would have gotten into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about your children a little bit.
So, as you heard me say, the children were abused as well. And my son, he really, there were times with his little self, he would try to get in the way, he would try to protect me. And of course, the abuse really turned on him. I remember one particular night, my ex-husband being verbally abusive to me, telling me all sorts of degrading things, and my son came out. Probably he was about 11 at the time. And tried standing up to him. This is after 11 minutes to 12. And you know, I remember my ex-husband started cuffing him all over. And he said, "You want to be a man? Get up and fight with me." And I am sitting there, I'm begging him, please stop it. And
so this is his father.
Yes, and I'm trying to get in the middle, and you know, it's getting out of hand. And then he started telling him a lot of derogatory things. Even my eldest daughter, same thing. Sometimes she would speak up. And I remember her being kicked to her stomach, being cuffed, and those things were really painful for me. Even trying to put myself in between them, it was painful, because if it is that I put myself in between, okay, I take the blows, that's one thing. But then I would have to hear for the next week, I love the children more than him, and I allow them to tell him whatever they want and things like that. So it was really difficult to see them being abused, and my son carried this rage for his father. And he started doing kickboxing, and it was only until we came out of the abuse that he told me the reason why he did the kickboxing was he had already planned that the next time I was abused, he was going to kill his father. Right? And I thank God that day I told you all about my head being slammed through the louvers, that he was not there. The others were there, but he was not there. And
so it's protecting all around, because you would have to be a shield with your tiny self for these children. Don't forget, you can call in. What's the number, Mr. Director? 3, or the number will go up in a little bit, and you could always call in. Yeah, this little woman is a powerful child of God to take all this, but God stepped in to help her. Tell us about Avi. I wonder in a little bit, really or maybe we should look at it now. I know that you're talking about homes telling you that you had male children. I remember once trying to place a young girl, but she was pregnant. She was about 14 years old. There was no place to really carry her. She came to the church. She looked down from the balcony. I looked up and waved at her because she was staring at me. Then somebody came and said, somebody wants to see her in the toilet. It's in the middle of the worship or whatever, somebody. So when I go, I see this girl, and she throws herself on me, and she's crying. And she was 14, she was pregnant. She lived in her uncle's home. Her mother is a little mentally disturbed, so the uncle said she had to leave. I looked all over for a place for this child.
I'm just thinking, Joanne, since the church is doing so much, we should have a list of all these homes that we could send people with their children
so
tonight.
I went and I looked, because she came to me. God didn't send her to Sister Indra, Sister Mary, or Brother Chris. God sent her to me. And I went and looked around, and there was a place in South, and when I carried her, they said she could only stay for the night because I think her brother or somebody came with her, being 14 or whatever, some male person, and they said no. First of all, he should not have come, because women in this place are hiding. And she's a teenager, and they say, well, teenagers talk and gossip and share information, so I couldn't keep her there. I went with her to Port of Spain. I found Choices and Mary Care, which is a program that the Catholic Church had, and I stayed with her in that a few months before the pregnancy. They keep them for the pregnancy, and then a few months after the pregnancy, and they would walk over. It was in Woodbrook, a couple streets, and they would learn, the babies with them, so they're breastfeeding, they're learning typing, cooking, how to take care of the baby, and then they come back. That place was so oversubscribed too, that a week after she had the baby, we had to find somewhere else for her.
Wow.
So I'm saying that these are things that we really need to do. And I know there are people, because I've met since then quite a few people, because a lot of people have come my way needing placement, and I don't know where to go, who to call, and that kind of thing. So we want to talk about some exit strategies. Tell us, Avi, of a couple of the, and then you would come and tell us. No, I'm asking Avenel, Hector, Joseph, just to share the places that exist. Not why the church don't have the places and so.
Well, no, we don't have any places. And we need so to. If we having conversations, you see, we continue to want to walk in the rain and not get wet. I can't be a part of that kind of
No,
church.
but hear me.
We need to call each other to action.
No, but hear what I believe. If somebody comes to me and asks for help, and I spend time telling them who should have, would have.
I don't tell those people that. I'm not that person. For 18 years, we are not that people.
I just want these steps. If you know these steps, what do people do for the process?
Okay, so Michael, you should have Latoya, okay? They will give us all the nice 800 numbers that we can call.
Yeah.
That people can call.
What does somebody do? They find themselves in trouble. What do they do?
Okay, if they come to us in the church, what I would say for all of us, okay, so last Sunday when we had the program, and I'm sure if you'd have done the same thing, we keep those lists of people. I don't have it on my phone now, whether it's Families in Action, whether it's Domestic Violence Hotline, there's some new initiatives that the government has, and that we appraise ourselves and then we keep ourselves updated, because there's sometimes the information that we have is not relative. So sometimes, like, I might have a whole list, which is a time I had a whole list. And I took a lot of time calling all of those people with that particular list. So, like, we can house people, but then we can house people that are in an extremely volatile situation because where the location is not that kind of private space. So sometimes you have to do something what you have to do in that moment, but it is not ideal, right? So, well, we cannot give those names of the places on the location, or even give, like, you know, some people say, well, I went to one up inside of it. We don't do that. So I think it's 800 save.
800 save, yeah.
Right, so that people can call that number, they can get it, and I know that the government will be giving out more because there's an allocation in the last budget for these homes, so they will guide us as to the level of information that we can get, and most of it will be just phone numbers because like the police, you go to the police station, the police will take the person to the homes and bring them back.
There's a coalition against domestic violence.
I mean, who's on the line? Hello.
Hi guys, it's Micah again.
Yes, darling.
Yeah, so I was just calling in to talk about some of the numbers that could be called.
Yes.
In terms of exit strategies or in terms of resources.
Yes.
So as you guys noted, 800 SAVE for any females living in situations of domestic violence. Currently, the CPPS is also working vigorously in terms of their gender-based violence unit.
Yes.
We now have officers, both civil and officers, who are being trained in regards to gender-based violence to deal directly with those living in situations with domestic violence.
Yes.
In terms of the children, if children are involved, Children's Authority can be connected. You can connect to Children's Authority. 996 will connect you directly to the Children's Authority, or 627-0748. That will connect you directly to the Children's Authority. Another resource for children for afterwards, some follow-up counseling for therapy is the Child Guidance Clinic. And their phone number is 623-2348.
2348?
Yeah. And another follow-up, Parenting PT, they provide counseling for adults as well as children. And their phone number is 662-8264.
8264?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Micah.
No problem.
Thank you, Dad. If people want to get in touch with you, can they?
Yeah, people can definitely get in touch with me. Currently, I specialize in mental health services, which ties directly into domestic violence. So I do provide counseling for those dealing with mental health issues and definitely the trauma,
Yes.
because I'm very trauma focused and trauma informed.
Yes.
So if anybody does want to get in contact with me, my phone number is 324-1244.
324-1244.
Yes.
Thank you so much, darling.
No problem.
Okay, bless you.
All right. Bye-bye. You too.
Darling, so tell me about your exit strategy.
Well, for me, it was pretty simple, right? I want to give some practical exit strategies. Well, let me just tell you my exit strategy. I made that decision in my heart to leave. That was the first step. And after calling the shelter and realizing, okay, I can't stay there, I decided within myself that I needed to do something. And I made up my mind, come with me, I and the children are going to get out of this.
Yes.
So I went to the police, I made a report. From there, the police, my experience with the police was actually a very positive one.
Yes.
They took me in a room, they sat with me, they explained a lot of stuff to me about being safe, making sure that my yard has no trees where someone can hide, making sure that someone knows what time I'm coming home so someone can be outside looking out for me, not coming down the street by myself. They made extra patrols on my street and so on. And they advised me in the protection order, restraining order. I did all of that. And eventually, he was out of the house. The hardest part was me getting back my voice, because victims lose their voice. And you need to get back your voice. You need to take back your power, because that perpetrator will try to make contact with you. And if you cannot take back that power, regain your voice, that's where they make that circle and come back. That's where the cycle starts again.
Tell us about that. Tell us about taking back your power and finding
Before that,
voice.
could she explain, because people always use the restraining order and the protection order interchangeably.
Right.
So she can explain to the viewers and the listeners,
well,
what exactly it is, how it's different.
Right. So briefly, the protection order, okay, when you make that report, the protection order is what you get. That's the first thing you get, because to get the restraining order, you have to go to court, right? So the protection order is the first thing you get. I'm not sure if it's a justice of the peace or so on, but you get that immediately. That's like just in the interim to protect you.
Yes.
And then they will give you a time that you come to court. The person will be summoned to court, and that's where the judge gives the restraining order, and that restraining order would say, okay, you cannot do X, you cannot do Y, you cannot do Z.
And as you went down that path, how effective is it, do you think?
For me, it worked. But dealing with victims, I'm going to be very honest.
Please.
A restraining order is just a piece of paper, right? It says that you cannot come within this person 100 feet. 100 feet is shooting range, right? So we are now proposing, there's another survivor, Valine Shear, she has the Arbor movement, and we are now proposing that this GPS tracking alert come to Trinidad and Tobago. In Maryland, it's very effective, and that alerts the victim as well as the police once the perpetrator is within 5,000 feet.
Okay.
Right?
Because I heard about it, and I was saying on air that if the man alone has it on and they're tracking where the man is, and the woman does not have one on, how do they know that the man is close to the woman?
So there is an app, with it, there comes an app that you put on your phone, and once he is within 5,000 feet.
What's it called?
GPS tracking bracelet, right? Or the monitoring bracelet. So the perpetrator wears it once the restraining order is taken out, and that alerts the victim. The app goes off, letting you know that that person is 5,000 feet near you, and also the police would be alerted.
Yes.
I want to go a step further. I've been doing some research, and in certain states, there is something called a safety watch, right? Which the state gives to the victim. You wear that watch. If the person approaches, comes within a certain feet of you, or you see them coming, you can press a button on the watch, and it automatically connects to the police. So you don't have to talk, you don't have to make a call.
You just do what you do.
Exactly, and the police can hear everything that's taking place, and they can track your location to send help for you.
So what, I like action. I don't like plenty talk. I like, how can we help? to see, is there something we can sign up? Is there, tell us what to do.
So right now, the ABBA movement, there is a page, it's ABBA, it's All for Bracelet Alert, ABA, All for Bracelet Alert. It's on Facebook, you can look it up. If you're having problems finding it, you can also go to my page, Kamika McClutchy. I have shared it as well. So you will see it there. You go on, you sign the petition, and then start sharing it so other people can sign as well, right?
And how many signatures do we need?
As much as we could get, we want, so that we can continue the discussions with the Attorney General, because it's something that he has discussed. So if we can get as much persons to sign this petition, it's going to help us to get the movement in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. So you've heard that. We'll share a little bit more before we wrap up.
Right.
Yes.
So just to give some practical exit strategies, one thing you want to do, especially in domestic violence, there's a lot of financial abuse. So you want to try at least, if it is that you have a specific amount to spend at the grocery, $500, and that 500 is being monitored, you have a list, you want to start it, and it's going to seem very small, but it's going to help in the long run, right? If you can at least take $20 off of that, and you may not be able to have a bank account according to how extreme the abuse is, but if you have that one trusted person, you can start leaving that 20 with them every time you meet them from that grocery money or whatever money you can take out a little bit, and you start putting aside that savings for that time when it comes when you have to run. You also want to try to at least take out some clothes that are not going to be missed and leave it with a trusted individual for you and the children if that time comes that you have to run again. If there's someone on your street that you can trust, and I stress on the word trust, because with the way we are cultured, and as Avi was saying, you may think you could trust that person, and then that person will come and say, hey, she planning to leave. So you need to be sure you can trust that person, so that if something is taking place in your home, you and that person have that signal, and it's a signal that you could send off. I'm not going to give any on air, right? We have ones that we would give out. If you call me, I'll tell you privately, but it's a signal. So once you give that signal,
people know.
That neighbor, whoever it is you trust, will know, okay, I need to call the police now because she's in trouble.
I remember, as you were saying that, when I was working in the U.S. At a big marketing firm, a girl who was in the office around the corner from me, she said to me, Joanne, this is a picture of my husband. He's stalking me, and the police have said, give it to a trusted person in the office. So if he passes by and you see him, now I'm the last person who will see him before he heads to her office.
Right.
She says, just give her a call. So I said, Veronique, if I just see him, I might start going so. And he will shoot me. And we were both laughing, and then we got serious and we cried. She said, Joanne, my life is basically in your hands. She said, I couldn't think of anybody else. Avenel, my stomach would turn every time I saw anybody resembling the person. And then I took it really seriously, because they take it over there really seriously.
Yes, they do.
You understand? The police said, give it downstairs. So if he passes downstairs, give it to the receptionist on the second floor. If he passes that point, I'm the last point once he reaches by me. And I'm saying, wow, I don't know if we are so strategic and so, but exactly what you're saying, that trusted neighbor.
Yeah, and just like you're saying, you need to, and because abuse smothers your voice, you need to start telling people on your workplace. You don't have to tell everyone, but you need to let them know, look, I'm in danger, so that people know if this person comes, they need to call the police.
Yes.
Right? Also, the school where your children go, you need to notify the principal and so on, that this is what is happening, so they can take measures to protect the children as well, right? Another thing we want to do is, as I said, regaining your voice, right? It smothers your voice, and you need to speak up. For too long, so if it is that you have left and that person is trying to make contact with you, you need to speak up and let them know, listen, this is over, stop taking their calls, block their numbers, and so on. You see, for too long, victims maintain that contact, and that's where the perpetrator is able to go back into the cycle.
Because they get a little hope, so that they could come back in.
It's a cycle. So in the cycle, there's the tension building phase, and then there's the actual battering. And after the battering, that's when you have the honeymoon phase. So after the battering, the victim will leave, and it's during that time that the perpetrator will start with the honeymoon phase, as Avi said, breaking them down. You know, I really love you, I didn't mean to do that, I'm sorry, I swear it's never going to happen again.
Not even repent, but I just look at your face, Bex. But that's part of that cycle where
that chain up head, teeth head scenario. But
exactly.
Because I've seen it so many times, and I'm saying to myself, the person doing that, oh God, homeboy, we know you're going to let you again once you get you back in that space.
Yes.
Yeah. And they would, as I remember, we said earlier, it's manipulation, right? So some abusers would go to the extreme. If it is that you are in church and they are not, they would go and get saved. They would start going to church, anything it takes, right? And I say get saved in brackets because they're not really doing it from their heart. They're doing it to get you back. And once you're back in that space, it starts again.
Yes, yeah. Wow, it's 8 minutes past 10. We're going to go to a break. Yes, but we're going to the break. Prayer song, scars? No, we're going ahead. You're bringing up somebody? Yes, yes, please. We have that special surprise. Avenel Hector Joseph.
It's not coffee, people.
Avenel Hector Joseph. Okay, let's read some.
That's my name.
That's your good name. That's the name I love. Great discussion, learning experience. Let's stand together and make a change. Yes, let's stand.
It's not cool watching the girl Kamika Boka Grand's pussy.
Love you.
Robert Payne Jr. Ladies, I'm listening to the stories and see the similarities with the young woman who said enough is enough. And because of the battered wife syndrome, the abuser is dead and they are in the prison. He works in prison. Counseling is a component which I utilize, but I'm considering having real talk sessions of healing by inviting survivors like the young woman in the studio who has a fantastic healing testimony, and Robert, because he works in the prisons. You do work in prison too, as yet?
The film has been shown in the women's prison.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think, Robert, we need to organize that after the film is shown, we have a lot more of these discussions. And we're actually planning something to go around, but we will share with them another time.
Yes.
So, or do you want to share now, another time?
Yeah, we could mention it.
Yes. So you go ahead, darling.
All right. So, well, I have an NGO called Rise Woman Rediscover Your Strengths. And right now we want to raise some awareness and sensitization through Trinidad and Tobago. So we want to partner, hopefully, right, with 107 to go out on a caravan to different communities where we're going to raise awareness. We're going to come with some artists and we're going to start teaching you guys about domestic violence, to understand it, to give support, how to get out of it. And hopefully that is going to help change some cultures and traditions across Trinidad and Tobago. So if it is that you hear that we are coming to your community, I want you to come out and support us.
Yeah. All right. Come right in. Come on, Avi. We have a special lady coming in. Woohoo! Come on, Kamika. We have a special lady joining us. Have a seat, my beautiful friend. And Crystal, come right and stand behind her and let's tell folks what's going on here. This is Sister Anne-Marie Lakai from last week. Do you remember she was our guest last week? Sister Anne-Marie?
Yeah.
I'm shocked. This is Sister Anne-Marie who was on last week. Roger, you remember Sister Anne-Marie? Ryan, remember Sister Anne-Marie? And wow, I'm speechless. And so I decided, you know, let's be like some of those big international shows. And let's be like some of those big
What the background music, man?
Yeah, that music now.
And we had people wanting to donate. Oh, look at your earrings. Those Joel, thank you so much, Joel. And tell us a little bit more. This is Crystal McClatchy. She's makeup artist extraordinaire. And she agreed to come in and give Sister Anne a nice makeover. Sister Anne gives some trouble. You know, sometimes you all don't like to dress up. Don't put all that on me.
Yes.
Sister Anne-Marie, Yeah. How do you feel? How do you think it looks?
Real good.
She said real
good. We need some pics after. We'll definitely get some pics done. So tell me, Crystal, what did you do to my darling Sister Anne-Marie?
Well, it was just a matter of just enhancing what's already there, because she has such lovely cheekbones and lovely skin. So there wasn't anything difficult to do. The only thing I wanted to do is give her some little natural looking lashes.
She said, don't put those things on me at all.
She not at all. So we just enhanced what was there. We just put a little foundation, a little powder, a little light contouring and stuff like that, and very natural kind of glam that we gave her.
Wow.
And this is the finished product, and this is how my lady looks.
Very beautiful.
You look fabulous. You look fabulous, Sister Anne. And you know, I wanted you to come back because we were just discussing exit strategies and so. And I realized last week we didn't know where you were now. We heard a lot about your abuse. We heard a lot of things, but where are you now? How's life now for you?
Real good.
Wow. Yeah.
And I recognize it's only, and I realize it's only God can already make that happen for me.
Yes.
And only because I came to the way of holiness.
Yes. You love your pastor.
Of course.
You love your pastor.
And when I reach, he give me a nice word, but you know, I said, me? What pastor talking about? She said, you have so much potential in you. And I am going to bring it out. And she really did bring it out.
Yes.
You know, she... it happens like what the Bible says. What I start, I'll finish.
Yes.
What she starts, she finishes me.
Yes.
You know?
And she likes to say what? What words she likes to say about God? She says, our God
hot.
Our God hot.
And now she get a new one. Small thing.
Yes, a small thing for God to do. So do you see this lady? Do you see this lady? You're absolutely fabulous. I'm really happy for you. What do you do in church? I mean, because I was telling them last week, you do just about everything. I see you involved in so much. Yes. So you
remember them too?
Yes.
Oh.
I see you doing so much. And I really want to bless God for you.
Well, I do intercessory, I do fundraising, and work with prison in the sense of right now I do the Christmas time, I do all the bags and stuff and thing, and I have treated every end of the year for children in the community and out the community and things like that, and then I go down to church and I do a little treat again down there and nearly everything. Work with pastor.
I know you didn't hear this young lady's story, but she's also a survivor. And she has a drama out now, a documentary sharing her life. Is there anything you would like to say to her, having survived sister? Is there anything you want to encourage her?
Well, I for me, I always like to encourage people, I know the Lord now, so I could encourage somebody by letting them know it doesn't matter what you go through and what takes place in your life, and you know Christ, stay in Christ. Believe Him, have the faith, and just wait on Him. Whatever He says, I say just now, whatever He says He will do, He will do. You know what He started, He will finish. So I encourage people, and don't ever go back to where you come from. Stay focused. Stay wanting to go forward all the time. Stay wanting to help somebody who hurting, who in pain. Don't share my testimony. I just always tell people this too. And don't let nobody tell you what to do, how to do it. Don't let nobody tell you how to give, when to give, don't give. Don't let nobody tell you don't pay tithes, don't pay offering. That is very important. Because you know where you come from. Maybe I know where I come from because I always just, encourage people in this way too. Now, I didn't ask nobody to do it the way I do it. But what happened with me is when I recognized what God did in my life. As today I sit down and I was remembering, how I had this tumor in my head. And no doctor in Trinidad didn't know anything about this. But I happened to go away and somebody encouraged me to go and see a doctor. And I ended up knowing that it was a tumor in the head. You know, I used to fall down in the street, vomiting black and doing all kind of things, and people would rush me to the hospital, and then, you know, I came and I get saved in the midst of it. And when I get saved, that never ever came back to me. You know? So I love the Lord, and I always encourage myself in everything, every area, just to stay focused. Yes. And remember what God did for me. Because I wanted to die. I wanted to die so many times, and I could have died so many times. And I know it was God kept me.
Yeah.
You know, so all your time, all your life, give it to God until the end.
Let's see who's on the line. Let's see who's on the line. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
Go ahead. Good night.
Yes, this is my name is Sarah.
Yes.
I'm just calling in to how blessed I took the panel and the discussion that took place.
Yes.
Yeah, I was privileged to listen a bit and the young lady really shared her testimony and as a German student that we can others to ministry that we go to do. So I bless them, we and the song of the other they will get into the US for
Okay. We didn't hear it too clearly, but thank you so much for your call. Thank you. Thank you. I heard Avi. Bless Avi. And I'm seeing that your Broken Crayons folks sending love. Kamika, is your name spelled properly now? Check it there on the...
Yes.
Good. Crystal, tell me about working with women. Do you find it difficult to work with people who, I sometimes sense that people who've been abused don't like to do anything. They make a fuss like they don't think they want to be beautiful or show themselves up too much.
Funnily enough, Kamika and I have an actual history of our surnames are very similar if you realize, because we are actually family. And we both went to Victory together, and we were recently together on 98.1, remember Kamika?
Yes.
And I was listening to her testimony, and that's when, and it made me remember years ago when I was at Guardian Life, when I was an agent, and Kamika was one of my clients. And Kamika and I would sit down in the car park of UE, because she was working UE at the time. And I would sit and and you can see she was a person very, very introverted, very, very into herself. And I'm watching her and I'm saying to myself, something is going on with her. But I had no idea what it was. And it was not until this, now
coming forward,
going to this radio program with her. And the thing is, we were in church together.
Yes.
We were in church together, and you had absolutely no idea of all her struggles, everything that she was dealing with every single day.
And what would you tell people then who are around? And because I sometimes feel I missed it when I hear the story. I'm like, why didn't I pick it up? Why didn't I see it?
What do we do? Do we just lift them up in prayer so that God would touch them the way that God sent her exactly where she needed to go, so that her eyes would have been opened for herself. Because I've seen it in my family actually, and the whole domestic violence, and I have very limited information on how my sister, it's actually my sister I'm talking about, how she dealt with it.
But I want to encourage you to go back and have the conversation. The conversations are hard,
They are.
Because we know that I bawled at the segment of the docudrama that dealt with your father.
Yeah.
Because we have the daddy deficit.
Yes.
Avenel, is that your word too? I know you have daddy. You speak about daddy issues.
Yes. Daddy, where were you?
Yes.
And that's something I got as well because of my own journey that I'm presently on. And that's one of the things that, you know, we say that your place of misery becomes your place of ministry.
Yes.
And we can say that's a cliche, but I've found it in my own life. So I can speak to people about rape, I can speak to people about insecurity, I can speak to people about father issues and how it affects you, how you perceive and how you need to grasp the whole father heart of God to go from a place of religion to relationship. And so that's one of the topics that we are going to be delving heavily in the Book and Quran series in the next couple of months and years to come. You know, 52 of us were in the Bahamas on a mission trip with ITNAC. And on a mission trip, you kind of think you go to give. And because of my own journey, the Lord just said, share it with the people, share it with the team. One morning, and as I said, 50-something people on a team. And I said to myself, oh gosh, I've been just thinking, you know, because of what you're going through, trying to project it on them. And I couldn't fight it anymore. I just said, okay, God, I'm going to go out on a limb here. And if I get embarrassed, you're going to take the shame because the glory is coming. So I shared my journey, and then immediately people were in tears, crying, and one of the guys said, don't just talk about father-daughter issues, father-parents, also just parents and children. So there's that whole breakdown, and when our first line of defense, our first line of affirmation is broken down, then there is a void that exists. And if legitimate needs are not met in legitimate ways, the legitimate needs remain, and then those legitimate needs are met in illegitimate ways. So for me, when I was growing up, I would always find men who were very, very, very much older than me, and I couldn't understand until I came to the Lord and going through different experiences, like the book, Daddy, Where Were You? An amazing book that most women, if not all women, should read. Daddy, Where Were You? And as I was saying to Kamika, not knowing the story, you know, we segued into that on 107 last Sunday when we came down the stairs. I was like, Kamika, girl, should I be in Bahamas? Because, you know, she's been to different places with us on the Book and Quran season. And I was like, girl, should I be there with us? Because, you know, we did all this father stuff and we're going to bring the people from Bahamas to come down. We're going to continue with the retreat and healing. And so Kamika is listening to me all, okay, like, oh, yeah, you know, whatever. And I'm like, why am I telling Kamika about father issues? Because, I mean, Kamika has done Broken Currents with us. We've been to, I think, Barbados, Jamaica. I just never heard that part for some strange reason. And when we showed the video, I was like, oh, my God. And more I'm realizing how many people, even adults, you know, have this whole father deficiency, or even mothers who have left their children. I remember us going to St. Vincent. We make a joke, St. Vincent seemed to be a place where a lot of people father come from. And it was really funny. So we went to St. Vincent on this mission trip, and a whole lot of people were actually looking for their fathers and their fathers' family, because their fathers were Vincentian. And, you know, we made a joke about it, but there is nothing funny about people's fathers being absent in their life, either emotionally or physically, or any parent, because it leaves that painful, it's like a gaping wound. Somebody said to me, you know, you need to get over it. And I know she means well. She said, you need to get over it. You know, you can't keep looking for it and whatever, you know.
Bless people who don't know and just talk, you know. Bless them.
For a minute I felt bad. Like
just a brief second or two. Well, we're about to wrap up. I know somebody sent me a message that the video is frozen, but we're about to wrap up, and somebody says, not seeing you, but hearing clearly. Early happy birthday to you, Abby.
Hey, the whole thing will be $49. Can I do a little commercial break, please? For every year for my birthday.
Did you wait for a response?
Just in case you said no. Listen, when I was growing up, I do this thing. I just go out and do it when I come back home and deal with the consequences. So since I was 37, I celebrate my birthday this way. I asked my friends to contribute the number of days. So I'll be 49 years. It's called Project 49.
When is it?
16th of March. Okay. Instant. They have to go to a friend's funeral on that day, but so be it. We have to mourn with them that month. So we are going to be this year. We've done different things. We bought land in Haiti. We've helped Joyce, who was a house care, start a business and a career. And this year we're focusing on raising funds for our city outreach center in East Port of Spain. We already have the land. We're going to put 2 containers. Persons can come, get a shower, get soup, get food. And also to help one of our other persons in Kenya get a social degree. And we're going to have a big party. And a big party at a certain girl's home. We'll be giving them underwear, toiletries, and different things. So you give $49, you can give toiletries, and some will also go to our sisters.
Is it a project?
No.
What's your project?
But she'll be there.
Your project.
Yes, I will be there. My project is just to raise awareness and sensitize the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago about domestic violence. So hopefully we're going to partner with 107, go out on the road, have some artists with us, go to different communities and raise that awareness.
Well, I want to go to my pastor, so we were Kennedy, only teaching and only love and only treatment and
what's the way you got to your
my outfit, my top is my pastor Kennedy.
That's a fancy.
And my hair from
Santa.
Santa is from
Joel. Thank you. Yes. And your makeup.
And my makeup is from
And your joy from Jesus.
and joy.
And she has joy. She has joy to. Let me tell you something about this lady. On camp, she runs things. She runs things. I've been very actively involved. I would have never thought from interacting with you. And this was your story. When I was Pascal, yeah, and she said, "This is sad."
Because she used to come and Pastor Kelly the 90s back in the day. So I'm like,
that is it when you see her now.
so we don't know the stories of people. That's why it's important that we tell our stories. So we encourage other
We have
people
conversations.
to be overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Yes, go ahead.
It is a great thing to know that where you come from and where you are now. And like, we don't deserve it. Well, I know I don't deserve it. You understand? Yes. But God see it fit for me. You know that
Grace.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And it was not a simple pastor. When I came, she said, "You are a pastor." And I will see that you become a pastor. And I break in and I do everything, but she make it easy for me. So I give it for them like a mother to me.
Yes.
You know.
Amen.
That's a church right there, Abby. That's a church right there.
We need more of that. Right
You be more. You be more of that.
The more CDs.
And what do you want to tell us about beauty from the inside out? How do you think doing this affects somebody's self-esteem?
Oh my word, it just gives you, once you see yourself in the mirror looking, just enhance it actually affects your inside because it gives you a system of confidence. You start to walk differently. You
Yes. You
feel good. It starts to make you feel good on the inside. That's why I have gotten the opportunity to put makeup on somebody who have suffered from cancer and because of the PLOS and all the different things that they're experiencing. And you would not believe the glow that they started.
Can make people very look smaller.
No, she's not a plastic surgeon. I have a cousin to that. Yes,
It's real.
Yes.
And you see it from, and it's such an amazing thing to see. So, you know, I just bless God every
Give
day.
people your number if you want to. Give them your business
Makeup by
contact.
Chris. My number is 386-6100. You can find me on Facebook or on Instagram as Chris MUA or on Facebook as Makeup by Chris.
Yeah. So this is where we wrap it up for today. I want to thank all these fabulous guests. Of course, some things to remember. We are going to bring that
800 save.
docudrama.
Easy number to remember. If you
Yes,
800
we're going to call
save.
those numbers before we wrap up. But I want to talk about the docudrama. We do want to bring it to South. People here are saying, bring it to South, bring it to South. I hope when you bring it to South, you bring all your people out. Yes, don't forget 800 save.
Onika Mars is looking high.
623-2348 is the Child Guidance Unit. The Children's Authority 996, where you can call and make, because domestic violence now is not just intimate partner violence, but it includes anybody in the household. So the children are being abused. 996, you can make a report. I hope you're writing these down. 6270748. 6270748. Parenting TT 6628264. And Micah gave a number, of course, our counselor called in. Micah Lee, my darling, 3241244. I want to wrap up by reminding us about that GPS tracking or monitoring bracelet. There is a petition, ABA, all for bracelet alert. go on to Kamika's. If you can't find, is it
If
ABA?
you can't find the ABA or for Bracelet Alert, you can just go onto my page, Kamika McClatchy. You would see I've shared it there. You can sign the petition and also share it. So as many persons as we have signing, we can petition for this to come.
So you know what I say? We could talk and talk and talk till forever. But the Bible says, on one of my favorite scriptures, but as for me being in the way, the Lord led me. Get up and get to doing.
The Sisters for Sisters initiative that we need people to support. It's a very simple, there are much more complex ways, but I believe that we need to just start in the simplest possible way that we can. And so there's another cause on International Women's Day. Along with Broken Crowns, we launched the Sisters for Sisters. We've been doing it for a long time, but you just put a name and a structure, and we are asking people to contribute cash, to contribute things like feminine napkins, even that is a drama for a woman to get in a domestic violence situation, Pampers, toiletries. So we are at present helping our first mother. We want to thank to all who contribute. We're able to pay $500 towards her rent. She's still owing $900 for this month. And she got someone to pay for the daycare and the nursery for 2 of her children for the next 3 months. So that is an exit strategy to assist with. Help people to get some measure of support in that initial thing. It's like if you pour concrete, you have to put some kind of boxing board on it for just wait. So Sisters for Sisters is basically us being that boxing board for our sisters, not only in the event of domestic violence, but other challenges, and then we're gonna, so sisters and brothers for brothers or something like that. We're gonna launch a men edition very soon, the barbershop talk.
So there are so many avenues. I know for sure that there are churches all around that don't publicize a lot of stuff. They do the church I go to, there are so many arms of ministry. Get involved. But as for me being in the way, get involved somewhere. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? He said to go. You're waiting for what? An organization. So get up and get to going, get to stepping. Don't forget, we want that petition to move by a couple thousand tonight. Go tonight, encourage people, because you will play a part in saving somebody's life. Hey, God bless you. Love you guys. Take good care of yourselves and each other. Till we meet again. Thank you so much. Till we meet again next week. And I want to have Bible study start next week, and we're going to be looking at the end times and all these things that are happening and why our hearts are failing for fear and what we should expect. And so Bible study is on next week, and we're doing an end time study. God bless you. Love you. Take care of yourselves and each other. Have that conversation tonight. Love you.
It's been hard for me to make it through, yeah. There was a time when I thought I would lose. I believed that my life would never change, but I was wrong, yeah. So wrong, yeah. You made me feel just like I was somebody. You spoke a word at the right time. Now I live to tell the story. I said, oh my Lord, I stayed strong and you gave me victory. Now these scars of mine help remind me that it was not over. Still I rise. Where I should have died, I'm alive and I am feeling fine. All because my Jesus, he was right on time. On time. I tell you, these scars remind me.
Alone in this world is so cold. They're wishing that you fall, wishing that it all comes tumbling down. You won't believe the things I've seen, crazy things, but I've always known you'll never go. I'm not alone, you're there for me, Lord. So all of the scars and the wars that we fought, I'm thankful for these scars of mine.
They remind me that it was not over. Still I rise. Where I should have died, I'm alive and I am feeling fine. All because my Jesus, he was right on time. On time. These scars remind me. They painted pictures of me, spoke the worst about me. They laughed when I fell. They don't know that God was with me. I remember when I almost let go. mercy said no. I'm gonna fight for you, I'll fight for you, yeah. Help reminds me that I'm stronger. Just watch me rise, feeling fine. Oh, because my Jesus, he was right on time. He's gone. All the nights of pain, but I made it. Yes, I made it. Check out